begins with breaking news.
President Obama making history with a trip to Cuba. He is the first president in decades to visit this country. I'm Virginia Cha.
And I'm Jason Martinez. ABC's Marcy Gonzalez is in Havana with President Obama's first few hours.
A historic first full day in Havana. President Obama meeting with Cuban President Raul Castro today, a first step in trying to work past the decades-old bitter divide between the U.S. and this communist nation. President Obama sharing his optimism in this ABC News exclusive interview.
The time is right. Change is going to happen here, and I think that Raul Castro understands that.
The first family welcomed yesterday by cheering crowds, hopeful that this marks a turning point here where the 11 million residents make an average of just $20 a month. And while the trade embargo still exists, American businesses are starting to take advantage of newly relaxed restrictions, bringing more tourism dollars to Cuba.
Cuba has a significant potential for travelers around the world.
But opponents criticize the president's actions here, pointing to the ongoing arrests of political dissidents and other human rights issues in Cuba. President Obama vowing to take a strong stance.
Although we still have significant differences around human rights and individual liberties inside of Cuba, we felt that coming now would maximize our ability to prompt more change.
And he will meet with some of those dissidents and give a nationally televised speech here. But first, this historic meeting between two presidents many thought they would never see standing side by side here. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, Havana, Cuba.
And as you look behind Marcy right there, one of the things you can't help but notice on the president's trip is all the classic cars on Cuban roads.
Yeah, trade embargoes kept new American cars out of Cuba after 1959. 10 News reporter Jared Aarons live at the San Diego Automotive Museum. Jared, wouldn't the folks there love to get their hands on one of those classic cars in Cuba?
Oh, Virginia, Jason, the curator at this museum told me it would be a dream come true to bring one of those cars up here, not only for its educational value, but also because it would give everyone here a chance to see the creativity of the Cuban people simply by looking under the hood.
They had to make things up. They had to get different motors. They had to, as you said before, maybe pull things out of boats or other objects that you wouldn't normally think would be going into cars. And they put them in there and make them function.
That's Pandora Paul. She says the creative engineering it took to keep those cars running for 50 years makes them even more unique than the traditional classic cars. And seeing them on the road instead of sitting in museums, she says, is pretty exciting. Paul thinks a love of cars could bring people together from both countries and maybe help bridge some barriers, but don't expect to see any of those cars in the States anytime soon. She told me that all of the legal problems would have to be worked out first, and also a lot of the people who own those cars in Cuba, they put a lot of time and effort into them, and they also use them for their livelihood, so they wouldn't want to give them up to collectors here in America. Live in Balboa Park, Jared Aarons, 10 News.
Thank you, Jared. 10 News is closely tracking the president's trip to Cuba. There you see him with President Raul Castro. They're getting ready to hold a news conference there. Should we listen in here for a second? We're going to come back. They haven't quite started yet. You can see the President Castro there getting ready to speak. We're going to dip in here as soon as the President Obama starts speaking.